29th of July. Good morning, everyone. Can we try that again? Good morning. Thank you so much for coming, for being on time. Welcome to the launch of Sasini's Sustainability Report. It's a great morning. We have a great day. I'm very excited about what we're doing here this year, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But before we begin, I'd like to just put down some housekeeping rules. First, ladies and gentlemen, can we put our phones on silent so that they don't interrupt our proceedings here today? Put them on silent. And then, should you require the use of any of the facilities, they're out through this door to the left. The hotel assures us of our security while we're here, so no need to worry. I'll tell you a little bit about what we're going to do here. But first, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like us please all to rise for the Kenya National Anthem.
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu, jumuiya yetu sote tulilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You have your seats. So, my name is Yvonne Okwara, and I'm very happy to be here. Welcome to the launch of the Sasini Sustainability Report. The theme this year is Rooted in Time, Growing a Resilient Future. So, just a couple of things. We have that QR code that's on your screen. Please, scan that, because we want to know who's here and we want to be able to, just for registration purposes, but also to keep in touch. But most importantly, today here, we want to start making a commitment and a pledge, right? So that is what we're calling the digital forest. This is how it works. Once you scan that code, just try it, it works. You can hold up your phone to the code. It'll take you to a link. And on that link, we are inviting you to make a pledge. Make a pledge today to plant 1 tree. Make that pledge, and we hope that you will honor that pledge in the course of the year, hopefully. But here's what we're going to do. For every tree that you pledge to plant, Sasini will plant 10 trees. We will have a tracker for this throughout our morning here today to see how far we are going. So make that pledge and hope you plant a tree, but for every tree that you pledge to plant, Sasini will plant another 10. And I want to throw this challenge to all of us here, particularly those executives and captains of industry, that maybe you can match this pledge, right? Mr. Odundo from NMG, is that something you would like to do? Absolutely. Yeah, so we're hoping that you can do that. So that for every 1 tree that is pledged, Sasini will plant 10. How many will NMG plant? Mr. Odundo, how many will NMG plant? 1 pledge, 10 from Sasini. How many from you? Let's start with you as an individual. I'm happy to come down. Sorry, I know I'm picking on you, but it's because we're in the same industry now. Welcome to our industry.
All right, Martin knows this, but I've already planted 1,000 trees, isn't it? I've planted 1,000 trees already, and I'll plant another maybe 500. Thank you.
Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you for that. Hopefully I will find others who are here, and we can do that. That's what we're here to do. So we're not just here to listen to what Sasini has done in its sustainability initiatives and what it wants to do for the future. We're also here to make a pledge ourselves. There is the tracker. We'll be taking a look at it. We'll need to be truthful here. How come there are no pledges? So let's do something, right? We'll check in with this later. But besides hearing what Sasini has done and the commitment to the future, the reason I'm very excited today is because all of these commitments that each of us are making here as sustainability champions, as captains of industries, because we're doing this for the next generation, right? Because we make or have the understanding that what we're doing now is for future generations. Our panel discussion this morning is like no other you have ever seen, I guarantee you. Young people in this country who are themselves sustainability champions, not just enthusiasts. They are doing lots of things in their own field, in their own right. Our panel this morning ranges from those aged 12 to 18, I guarantee you. These are CEOs, these are sustainability champions, and they are driving change. So this is what we're doing it all for, right? The voices of the next generation. And that is what we're looking forward to today. I guarantee you it'll be a morning like no other. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we begin, I'd like to invite the board chair of Sasini, Dr. McPhee. Please give him a round of applause.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Just before I introduce the board of Sasini, I've got to be a person who leads by example, and I have to assure Yvonne that yesterday I planted 4 trees. And we have in the room with us a lady by the name of Susan Rodriguez. I taught her accounting many years ago. At one stage, she was the chief financial officer of Safaricom. But she now actually goes to schools and gets each student to plant a tree and nurture that tree until they leave the school. So Susan needs your help as well. But anyway, she's here this morning because we're very, very keen on trees. In fact, up in Sotique, we have more than 1,400,000. I think it probably contributes to that 150 million that we planted last year in Kenya overall. Did we really? But anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just introduce the board of Sasini to begin with. We have Martin Ocheng here, our managing director. I'm sure that all of you know him. And I'm going to start with the ladies first. Betty Koech. She is the head of the audit committee and a member of the board. We then have Rosemary Munieri, who's also a member of the audit committee and also the chief financial officer of several, well, a company anyway in Kenya. We then have Akif Butt, our finance director, and we also have Dr. Stephen Mayinda. If anyone in the room does not know Stephen Mayinda, please leave now. And then we have our company secretary, Millicent Ngechich. Okay, and even at that table we have Judy and Gino. In fact, I taught her father many years ago. So, but all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, 2022 to 2024 was not the best year for us. It was a very difficult year simply because of a number of external factors. As you know, we in Kenya have basically rain-driven agriculture. We also, on our estate out at Kiambu, we have dams. But last year was not a good year from a weather point of view, and as a result, the crop was not as good as it should have been. But also, you know, what we do is we sell our tea to predominantly the UK directly. Martin Ocheng, in fact, does a lot of marketing for us there, and we're very, very grateful. And one of the things that has really stood us in very good stead with consumers in the UK is the fact that we are so determined on our ESG, not just simply reporting, but practice. If you actually get your report, we do it digitally because we want to save our trees. But if you look from page 77 to 84, you'll see our carbon efficiency, and it's impressive. And obviously those 1,400,000 trees in Sotique, together with the trees in Muega and also in Kiambu, they're obviously absorbing a lot of carbon, but all the tea that we grow is also doing that, and all the coffee that we grow, and all the macadamia trees and the avocado trees are doing exactly the same. So we're really, we hope to end up at least carbon neutral, but also we hope to end up carbon positive, that we're a sink for carbon. But also, don't forget, in order to get our products to our markets, the best way is by sea to up the Red Sea through the Suez Canal. And as you know, the Houthis a couple of weeks ago sank 2 ships there. So the traffic through the Suez Canal is very, very limited. In fact, Martin has actually negotiated with a small Italian vessel that they're taking some of our produce through the Suez Canal to Europe. If you have to go round the Cape of Good Hope, down through Cape Town and so on, it's going to extend the period that we have. Instead of it being 24 days, it goes up to 60 days. And getting avocado in Europe after 60 days, well, there's a real problem in doing that. But also, we have to keep in mind that I don't want to get into politics here, but sometimes our politicians do things which are not for the best for Kenya. What happens there is that there's a very big oversupply. A warehouse is full of 120 million kilos of tea in Mombasa because it was laid down in the law that tea should not be sold at less than $2.30 a kilo. And the result is that a lot of the tea went to the auction, it was just brought back, and we never sold it. But, we're actually on a road to recovery this year. It's not as if it's easy. Why do I say that? Because firstly, we want to get macadamia nuts in shell, and then we remove the shell, and then we have very good customers all over the world, but there's a shortage. And this was because the ban on exporting nuts in shell was actually lifted, and the result is that we didn't have enough nuts in shell to actually process. So the macadamia business has suffered a bit from that. Avocado, I mentioned the travel time from here to Europe, and also Peru and South America, Mexico as well. They take advantage of the difficulties of that, and they get fruit, avocados, into Europe very, very cheaply. And the result is that it's very difficult to compete with them. But anyway, we're doing everything we can, and under the wise leadership of Martin, we're making progress in all of those places. So just to talk a little bit about what we're doing for the Sustainable Development Goals. And, in this case here, we've got to remember that when we're talking about ESG, E obviously applies to the environment. And we're very conscious about that, about not only our carbon emissions, but also the soil, so that you're getting the very best product when you drink tea from Sasini. And if you ever drink any other tea, come to me afterwards and I'll beat you over the head. But, and also Sasini coffee. And, I always try to, in a restaurant, the only thing is, again, one of my past students, Flora Mutahi, actually runs Melvin Tea, and we've got a little bit of competition there. That's only in the local market. Obviously, she's not exporting. We are in a very, very major way. And when you look at the market in the UK, they spent last year £300 million on tea, 58% of which came from Kenya. And thanks to Martin's trips there, a lot of that tea is actually from Sasini. So, when we talk about business resilience, we're talking about sustainability. Obviously, the E is the environment. S is another very important factor for us. What we're trying to do is we're trying to pay our workers a living wage rather than a minimum wage. And again, Martin is leading the way in that. So it's something which, you know, I think many of us in Kenya have got to adopt, okay? You know, you get people getting a bonus of 230 million shillings at the end of the year. Well, what are you going to do with all that money? You know, distribute it, give jobs to young people. Let's try to make sure that people can actually, you know, well, get a job in Kenya. And the G part of ESG is our governance. And I can tell you that our governance in Sasini is, well, better than many other companies. We can't claim to be the very best, because maybe there may be one company which is better than us, but we're very close to the top. I hope I'm not sounding like Donald Trump in here. But anyway, going forward, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to expand our forest cover. We actually we are going into renewable energy. We've installed solar panels in Sotik, and they've saved us a lot of money. They've given us a very good supply, constant supply of electricity. And we're looking at every possible way by which we're going to, you know, use more renewable energy and less fossil fuel. We haven't yet got into electric tea plucking machines and electric lorries, but, you know, we obviously have got to look at that as well. And also, there's a deliberate shift in Sasini to regenerative agricultural practices. You know, to see how we can, you know, use our waste, possibly as fertilizer, possibly as fuel to fire our boilers, etc. So the thing here, okay, is we're here to try to get partners in this sustainability journey. And that's exactly why Yvonne was putting Mr. Odundo on the floor there and making sure that he was actually committing himself to growing trees. But let me leave it at that point, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, and I'm going to give you some very good hands in which you're going to be put, and so enjoy the meeting while it goes on. And I can tell you, we're going to really learn something from these young people who come up and make their contributions, young as they are. I was talking to one of them. She's a grade 8 student, but you can see that she's already committed to this ESG journey.
Thank you very much, Dr. McPhee, and indeed for leading the entire board and leadership of Sasini here. And like you rightfully said, this is about partnerships, so we're so glad to see many of you from different organizations. So Dr. McPhee already planted 4 trees yesterday, and I might add, it's not about planting trees, right? It's about growing trees. So you don't just plant it and then you have to nurture it. And on that note, let's take a look at that tracker one more time. Once again, the QR code is up there. Now that looks good. So 40 pledges in the room. There is more than 40 of us here. So I just want to, we'll do this like an auction, by the way, throughout the morning until we can get as many as we can. So just a reminder to continue to scan that, make a pledge. And this is not just you committing Sasini, committing ABSA. I see Mr. Agin here. Karibu sana, it's good to have you here. And many others. It's about you also making a personal commitment to grow, to plant and grow a tree over the next year. And we hope to invite all of you again here next year and to hear what you have made of your pledge. So thank you for that, and continue to make those pledges as we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we've heard some of the highlights. It's time to now get into the Sasini PLC 2024 Sustainability Report. But before we do that, let's get some highlights. Watch this.
In the heart of Kenya's rich, sprawling highlands, Where fertile soils and human talent shape the land, Sasini PLC stands strong, rooted in time, yet reaching boldly toward a sustainable tomorrow. Founded in 1952, Sasini's story is one of purpose and passion, from the lush tea fields of Kipkebe to the bountiful avocado groves and the aroma-filled coffee plantations of Central Highlands. Our journey tells the story of responsibility, growth, and a commitment to shaping a resilient tomorrow. We are deeply rooted in purpose and guided by action, driven by a mission to build a future that is both sustainable and inclusive. From tea to coffee, avocado to macadamia, our journey unfolds across these 4 thriving value chains. Our sustainability journey is anchored in 5 guiding pillars. Climate, driving climate action through regenerative farming, circular practices, and bold biodiversity restoration. Innovation, we are advancing through ESG-driven growth, tech-enabled supply chain traceability, sustainable packaging, and smart agriculture powered by AI and precision farming. Community, empowering farmers and youth through training, fair wages, and market access, while investing in clean water education, health, and rural infrastructure to build thriving, resilient communities. Employees, prioritizing health, safety, well-being, advancing gender equality and inclusion, and investing in education and growth to empower a skilled, diverse, and resilient workforce. Integrity, upholding ethical governance, fair labor practices, and strong partnerships to ensure accountability, transparency, and lasting ESG impact across our value chain, leading with transparency and governance at every level. In our strategic journey, we align with 9 priority sustainable development goals. ESG now shapes every board decision, guiding our path toward responsible growth. In 2015, Sasini proudly joined the United Nations Global Compact, underscoring our commitment to human rights, environmental protection, and anti-corruption. In 2022, we released our inaugural sustainability report, aligned with global best practices through the GRI standards. And in 2023, we made a significant leap forward: the commissioning of our 1.3 megawatt solar plant, providing clean energy to power up to 30% at peak of our tea operations. Later in 2023, we took another bold step, joining the UNGC Forward Faster initiative, committing to accelerate the global sustainable development goals. In 2024, we recorded a total population of over 1.4 million trees, launched Kenya's first living wage pilot in the tea sector, and diverted 99% of our waste from landfills. We also continued our work in promoting our commitment to gender equity, with women now comprising 47% of our leadership, on track for full parity by 2026. And talking of 2026, we will unveil our first report towards net zero, scale renewable energy, and continue empowering youth innovation, all while championing access to clean water for thousands. By 2030, we target to plant 3 million trees, use 50% renewable energy, and achieve gender-balanced leadership, shaping a sustainable, inclusive future. Looking ahead to 2050, Sasini's vision is clear, targeting to achieve net zero emissions across all scopes, pioneering a regenerative, climate-smart future for Africa's agribusiness sector. Our commitment extends beyond business, with over 373,000 outgrower farmers reached in our radio programs and trained in climate-smart agriculture, and access to clean water for thousands. We are laying the groundwork for an inclusive, resilient future. Sasini is more than a company. It's a movement rooted in legacy, driven by people, and growing toward a just, resilient, and regenerative future. Sasini PLC, rooted in time, growing a resilient future.
A round of applause for that there. What a journey that has been, to take us through what that journey has been, what the commitments have been for the last year, and what the future looks like. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the Group Managing Director, Martin Ocheng.
Thanks, Yvonne. Thanks, everyone. Good morning. If I can see through those lights, nice to have everybody here. Thank you for taking time to come and launch this program with us, to our panelists and the future which we are trying to secure. Karibuni sana. My name is Martin Ocheng. I'll just take you through a few highlights of what's actually in the report. And in actual sense, I won't go through the detail because I would encourage everybody who's here to scan the barcode or the QR code and study it, because there's some very good things there. What Yvonne has shown in that video is really just a summary. Let me, before I do that, again recognize the presence of my board. Thank you so much for the support over the years as we continue on this journey. The presence of my fellow CEOs, I see several of them. To be remiss of me not to call you out, although I won't call your names, but thank you very much for attending, especially Tito, who carries my fruit across to Europe. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming from Musk. But all of you, really, it's heartening to see the room full with people who are enthusiastic about this topic and who want us to commit not just to targets but to share with you what those targets look like in terms of achievement and then what the future looks like as well. I also want to recognize Natasha from the Belarus Embassy. Thank you so much for coming. Has been a very good supporter. In fact, helped us to open that market for our tea business. Very grateful for your presence. So I'll go through those things. If we could move to the next slide. The chairman has talked to you about our business. And in the video you saw, we really are growers, processors, marketers, packers, and exporters of 4 main crops in our economy: tea, coffee, macadamia, and avocado. And we've been doing tea and coffee since 1952. We started as a coffee business. Then in 1957, we added our tea business on there, and was a tea and coffee business for a long time, until about 2016, when we decided to diversify our revenue and profit streams by participating in other crops. And so we started planting macadamia and avocado that we launched around 2020. You'll see when I talk about the strategy that that's something we want to continue doing. If you could go back, please, just one slide, that we will continue doing in terms of what drives our business. On the right-hand side is the key pillars that we use to run this business. It's important to talk about them because I think every year we mention this. For me, it's just also a way of reporting back how we are doing against those strategic pillars. The first one is diversification. What that talks to is the essence of growing these crops. So looking for more crops to help us drive more growth and more revenue and profit as well. We are doing some good things there, and very soon we'll be unveiling what those plans look like. Number two is, in pursuance of growth, we are seeking as well like-minded organizations that we can do joint ventures with, we can partner with, or we can acquire outrightly to help us drive the goals that we have to become the continent's top agribusiness. That acquisition will be driven by either skill we don't have or competencies and crops that we don't have in the agricultural space. And there's some projects in there you may have seen in the news as our participation in some of those. When they do happen, we'll let you know. The third pillar is why we are here today, the basis of our business, the bedrocking of everything that we do on the ESG platform and driving the SDGs, the ones we've chosen to go and cut across everything that we do in our business. Number four rather, is using technology to help us to drive efficiency, but also to reduce costs. You saw us show you things like application of fertilizer using drones. We are the only tea estate in the country, we think in the continent, that has no manual tea pickers. So all our tea in our factories is picked using machines, giving us efficiency, driving our costs down, and improving our quality. We are also the first, and I think the only one, that is applying fertilizer in large scale using drones, and that also gives us efficiency as well. But also things like what we do with smart agriculture and what we call regen ag, or regenerative agriculture, which talks to the only resource we've got really is the land and the weather that we've been given to grow crops, to then convert into produce, to put onto shelves for you and I to buy. If we don't take care of that land and that environment, we won't have a future. And that's why this for us is really, really, really critical. The fifth pillar that drives our business is in seeking to be the continent's #1 agricultural business. We really want to start sourcing our products, not just in Kenya, but in geographies around us as well, whether that is in East Africa, in the whole continent, or globally. So we are looking to launch some businesses across the border that can help us to drive that growth, because we are serious about being top in the continent. So that geographic expansion is really, really one that we are driving. All these things are not possible without our people, and some of them are here today, people who wake up and work for us every day, who drive us to be better in what we do every day. You've seen the component of that is almost 50-50 in terms of gender representation. I'm very proud about that. But our talent and the way we develop that talent, from when we acquire, what we train, and how we retain them is really critical in the achievement of those strategies. Next slide. So this here is a very busy slide. I have no intention of going through it, but and you'll see a couple of others like that. They are direct excerpts from the report. They talk to the 5 key material areas that our sustainability journey is based on. One is climate, and we are big on climate because we're an agricultural business. So the work we do, we've talked about regenerative agriculture, we've talked about the transition of just solar energy. That plant we are making reference to is 1.3 megawatt. It contributes 30% of our requirement for our tea business, which runs on power, by the way, 24/7. 52 weeks a year. So you can imagine how much, first of all, we are saving by not drawing from the grid, but how much we are getting in efficiency by using renewable energy. And so we are committed to that. We've been talking about that for a couple of years, and we're going to roll that in other parts of our business as well. The protection of the biodiverse environments in which we operate. We are a massive, extensive commercial agriculture outfit. If we don't do that well, we'll do that by demeaning and destroying the environment. And we are very keen that while we do large-scale agriculture, we do preserve the biodiversity in spaces where we work in. I've talked about innovation, and in fact, somebody was asking me earlier when I was having breakfast whether we are seeing the benefits of being so strong in this ESG space. I can tell you without doubt, if we didn't do this, and we've been doing this since we started, basically. We've just been deliberate in the last 7 years. If we didn't do this, there's some markets we wouldn't be accessing today. Why? Because in most places, especially in Europe, the adherence to ESG has become compliant related. So it's low. And so if you're a supplier of products going into Europe and you're not running your business sustainably, that market gets closed down for you. And so it does open doors for us, and it keeps us ahead of our competition, though we are not doing it for that reason. We are really doing it to be a responsible citizen. But it really works for us and makes our people very proud when they walk around. The work we do with community, you'll see a few clips later in the report. It's very well detailed, empowering people through training and onboarding more farmers. We work with excess of 300,000 farmers across all those 4 crops. It's a huge number of people. If you're training them and you're showing them how to do agriculture the way we do it, because that's what we want, first of all, to confirm that they're adhering to our standards, but 2, to advance with them as we advance our business as well. It's a good effort. Expanding the living wage programs. Now, I'll talk about living wage in a short while, but let me just mention, because there may be people in the room who do not really understand when we say what living wage is. So this country has legislation which requires us to pay workers at labor level on what we call minimum wage. So every year on Labor Day, you hear the president of the government make declarations about minimum wage increases. So this year we have a 5% increase. What minimum wage is really the legal lower limit that you can pay your people on. But what we've seen in our study is it's not enough for people to live on. And so we've moved towards a global standard called living wage, which is to pay your people enough for them to live on. the gap between minimum wage and living wage is about 11,000 shillings. So minimum wage is sitting at about 20 or just under 20. Proper meaning living wage is about 31, 32, thereabout. We have started the journey to close that gap. When you have almost 3,000 employees, that's not the easiest thing to do. But if you don't start, you don't show that commitment to your people and create more profit to be able to do that, then it just becomes something you talk about and you never really achieve. The work we do with our employees can't be overemphasized. Issues around gender parity, when we started this journey deliberately in 2019, there was 9% of our employment base. At the time, the employment base was about 6,500 employees. 9% of that was female. Today, because of automation, mechanization, that employment base is about half, 3,000 employees, and 47% of those are female. At leadership level, 41% across the organization, with an aim of being at 50-50 by the end of 2026. We make these commitments not to look good, but to share with you the progress that we are achieving and the commitment we have to this. If I would ask the Sasini employees to raise their hands here, you'd see half our employees are really ladies, and that's very deliberate, something we're very proud of. And then, like the chairman said, integrity, which is a big aspect of what we do, making sure we are running our business ethically, we are fair in every aspect we do. The strategic partnerships we look for are also driven by that. So, you see Judy here, and she's going to talk to us a bit earlier. We talked about joining the United Nations Global Compact in 2015. We were probably one of the first organizations to join. We've grown in that organization, and it has helped us to grow as well. So we're very grateful for the partnership that membership has brought us. But that membership of that organization talks about driving ESG on 4 key things: respect for human rights, respect for your labor, making sure that the people who work for you are taken care of properly, which is why we are talking about living wage, protection of the environment, and this is issues to do with not just tree planting. I know we talk about tree planting a lot, but move away from fossil fuels as well, electrification of our vehicles. Next year we'll share with you where we are with that, because we started that journey. And then lastly, something that Kenyans don't talk about, but yet is our biggest issue, is anti-corruption, doing a clean business. There's no way, if you're sitting here, that you want to do business with us, that you'll come under the table. We will not listen to you. We've taken a strong stand to run a business that is above board, that is driven by governance principles, that is clean. And we avoid customers who are lucrative but corrupt, because we don't need that business. Because if we don't take a stance against some of these things, it just becomes a story, and it's something that we end up then not doing. In the middle there, you'll see the principles. We call them the 10 principles. I won't go through them. They're in the report, that underpin the 4 key bucket areas. And then you'll see Sasini's commitment on the right, again, against each of those principles. So, Judy, to just report back to you as well, this is the work that we are aligned this way. And the reason we are doing this, we don't want to reinvent the wheel, because those principles really make sense for us. And so our ESG journey and the reporting is really based on that. Okay, so some milestones and commitments, if I could go forward. On the environment side, the E in the ESG stands for environment. So here, our commitment to sustainable agriculture and conservation environmentally is underpinned by the focus we have on our crops. Now, you'll see we talk about we have 1.5 million trees. Those are just trees. If you think about the crops that we grow, coffee bushes, tea bushes, macadamia trees, avocado trees, we have almost 5 million trees in our hands that are sequestering carbon every year. In fact, our coffee bushes sequester more carbon than any other tree that we've got. So the 1.4 million trees we talk about here are just trees, not the actual crops. But we made a commitment next year to start measuring those crops as well and report on that number, because I think it's important because of the work they do in removing harmful carbon from the environment. But while doing that is to expand our tree population towards 3 million as well. And the tree help us in our plantations, first of all, for just beauty, but most importantly, for the aspect of carbon removals as well. If that graph on the right-hand side there shows you the progression from 2022 with how much waste we were directing to landfill and how we've reduced that to 2024. Landfill is when you just take waste and you put it sort of like in the ground without caring what it does. That's really, really harmful. It talks to that commitment. We want to clean that to zero. And our move to renewable energy is unstoppable. So we started in the tea business. We're going to go forward in the coffee business as well, in the avocado and macadamia setups that we've got to ensure that we can use solar energy or more renewable energy to drive our operations. We have also started a project to transition our fleet to EVs, and we are working with local partners who are already producing this and are working with us to see if they can supply us with durable electric vehicles, especially in the transportation of our crops, tea, coffee, macadamia from our farmers, and avocado as well. The S stands for social. Again, this just pulls out a few things that we're doing on the social space. The report has a lot more detail. The living wage work is top of that. We are very, very proud of that. The fact that this is the second year in a row we are paying living wages in our tea business, which is our biggest business. A lot of people question why we start with the tea, because it's the biggest and the impact is bigger when we roll out programs there. The intention is for that to go into all our divisions as well. The work with diversity, I think that's really, really cool to see that at 47%. We want to get to 50. And let me add, getting these numbers is not about removing men from our employment base. The people wonder when you grow these numbers of ladies in your business, people think you're now removing men. We've done this without losing one male for the purpose of replacing him with a female. So it's just being deliberate in when you get opportunities, when you grow and you need more employees, you go and you're deliberate about looking for ladies to come and work for you, and they're there. Don't let your HR tell you, oh, we are struggling to find ladies, or we can't list when they bring you interviews of 4 people, they're all 4 males that they can't find. Just refuse to interview if you don't have ladies being considered. Then you'll achieve those results that we are seeing there. So that really is good. And then that graph on the right talks to the number of farmers we are training on an annual basis. We track this because it's important for us. We feel though the number is good, it's still very low at 15,000. But, and now we're going to start tracking next year how many of those are women and young people as well, because that's where the focus is going forward. And then lastly on governance, again, governance is, because for us it's what runs our business. We don't really brag about it because we have to do this. But you can see right from things like training the board on governance issues every year, on issues to do with ESG. An important one is the number of corruption cases we get reported. We have a very robust whistleblower program and strategy that helps us to know when people are doing the wrong thing. The target is 0, really. So we were not happy in 2023. There were 2 cases there that we caught very early and dealt with, and we have to report that. And then the gender balances, especially in the directors here and the senior management, so that you start to see. The directors, we still have a bit of time to go. Because we want to get to about 40. That happens when we get progression and succession plans in the board as well. The next 2 slides are really detailed. Again, it takes each of those 9 SDGs that we've committed to. It talks to what the SDG target and indicator is, what our commitments are, and where we've got milestones. I suggest you read this in the report because then it will take quite a long time. I just wanted to show here that this detail and summary around each of the 9 SDGs, if you move to the next slide, is a continuation of the same. On every area, we have targets that are driven not by us, but by the SDG indicator through the United Nations Global Compact, and we align ourselves with those, and we show commitments with what we are doing there as well. And then, what's ahead? So, the chairman talked about net zero. Let me try and explain this in a nice way. Net zero simply means carbon is one of the most harmful things in our environment towards achieving sustainability. So if you are emitting carbon through CO2, and you emit CO2 in tons, you need to be removing the same carbon in tons as well. If you're emitting more than you're removing, you're harmful. If you're removing more than you're emitting, you're helpful. So our net zero then means that you're balanced. You're removing as much as you're emitting. Very difficult to achieve, which is the reason why we must do it. Because this is the single most, those of us who've been around in the 1980s, we were talking about the depletion of the ozone layer. Okay? If you remember, the ozone layer is the protective layer that keeps us safe in the environment where we are. CO2 is a direct harmful greenhouse gas that if we don't reduce emissions off and measure those reductions, we will be doing our children the disservice of leaving them a world that is not as good as we found. And that's the issue. I keep saying this every time I stand in front of you. This generation, excluding them, sitting here, you and I, are the generation that have been responsible for messing this world more than anybody else since creation. And we do nothing about it. And we feel good when we drive around and throw banana peels out of our car windows, cigarette butts out of the car, and we think that we are bad leaders. We are those leaders. If we don't take the personal commitment to make these changes ourselves, these children have no future. And so, our commitment and our call for you is just on one aspect of planting trees. It's just one. But treat your sisters well as well. Think about your mom when you're treating a female colleague badly at work. Think about your children when you're messing around with things you know are wrong for the environment, because that's what we're saying. We are saying that we really don't care. We'll mess around. You guys can sort yourselves out when you come. We must be the generation that starts to change. And so I'm happy to see organizations reporting, and we're very proud to be at the forefront of that, to say we will do our best, and we'll push this journey to as far as we can. And our promise to you is you must pick it up and then run with it. And run with it strongly to make sure that your children's children found a better place and that we are not blamed for having been the people who messed up the world. So we will report on our net zero. We've started measurements. We have about 6 months of data. It's looking good, but we still have quite a bit of work. We couldn't include it in its entirety in the report because it's not a full year yet. So we'll do that in the next report, and you'll see where Sasini is towards that journey of emissions. But you can see the years gone by where, the absorption and where some of those emissions, in fact, in some cases, you're seeing them rising because we are measuring more. Because we also don't want to greenwash. We want to be very clear about what we are emitting so that we know what we can sequester. Okay? So this talks to the trees and the commitment to the trees. Remember, this number excludes our crops. If you include our crops, we're already at 5 million, and our crops are doing more to sequester than our trees. But we want trees specifically because there's a buzz around planting trees, and there's also a very direct link towards the effect of trees on carbon removal. And so that commitment is there. We've given you the call to action. Thanks, Jeff, for committing 500 trees. We'll add that there. So we'll plant 5,000 in the, to support you. But everybody, and you don't have to commit 1 tree. You commit 10 if you can. But plant and grow that tree because we want to also get feedback from you through the app. We'll show you how that happens, that you can show us once you planted these trees, what's happening to them, and what are we doing ourselves to plant the 10 trees for every tree that you promised. And that call of action that Yvonne put across there is very important for us. Towards the country's goal of planting, I can't remember what the number is, I think it was 1.5 billion trees. And so all of us have to do our bit to ensure that we are helping the president and the nation to achieve that. Only 19% of workers in the continent earn a living wage. So only 19% of workers in the continent are paid enough to live on decently. We don't want to be in that statistic, so we want to help to grow that number. It's the reason that we are accelerating the achievement of that. The Faster Forward initiative talks about accelerating in 5 key areas. 1 is how we take care of our water resources, being an agricultural business. Number 2 is this aspect of moving away from minimum wage to living wage so that we can bridge that gap of 12,000 shillings per worker. Number 3 is what we do with gender, both in our workplace and in our communities, to ensure parity and address ills of the past where we've disrespected our female folk. Number 4 is the work on climate action. So planting of trees, movement to clean energy, electric vehicles, to help us to protect the environment. And then lastly, because sometimes it's very difficult to do this on your own, partnerships and financing, and how we bring our hands together to do this thing, which is why we are calling on all the CEOs who are here to go back and do the same to help us achieve the same results as well. So I want to leave you there with that partnerships goal. It's probably the biggest area of opportunity for us. I've started talking to several CEOs in the room around what we can do together. Last year, we showcased the work that we were doing with MP Shah. We want to try and do something more this year. We did some work with Mask last year, and we are showing some work with APSA, Safaricom. Now, but those are big organizations. Where the impact is really felt is where we can work with smaller and micro-enterprise businesses and individuals to help us achieve the same goals that we set out for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Martin, Ocheng, and congratulations to you and to Sasini and for your leadership in matters sustainability, not just at Sasini, but immediate former chairman of the board of directors of the Global Compact Network Kenya, Ms. Judy Njino, is here. We'll be hearing from her in a moment. And the issue of partnerships, I think, couldn't be more important. It's not. It's a great place to actually compete, I think, for corporates and members of private sector to see who can outdo each other, because that's a competition that I think is beneficial to everyone and for the future. So ladies and gentlemen, now to the most exciting part of the day, at least for me, and you will see why. When we talk about partnerships, when we talk about securing the future, it is for these young people. Now, my panel today, comprising of voices of the future, I think it's actually voices of now, because they're doing some great things. We're about to get into our panel discussion now to get an understanding of what they're doing and whether any of the moves that we're making here are actually relevant to them, their generation, and those to come. For our panel, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite them one by one. Let me start with Alexander Nyang'iti. He is a climate innovator, grand prize winner of the 2024-2025 Climate Innovation Challenge. He's an award-winning youth climate innovator and environmental storyteller. Karibu sana, you can have a seat here. And then we have Ms. Karen Wanjiro. She's the CEO of Karen Fort Environment Conservation Foundation. You're about to see just how old she is. At the age of 11, she made history, being the youngest delegate to the United Nations Climate Conference. That's COP27 in Egypt, COP28 in Dubai. Please give her a warm round of applause. And then after that, we have Brian Munene. Now, you need to watch out for this young man because he's doing reports on very many of the companies, and he will be able to tell if many of you are greenwashing. Brian Munene is the founder and CEO of Africa Renewables Catalyst, also known as ARC, helping rural renewable energy providers generate income. Please give him a warm round of applause. And last but certainly not least, 18 years old, soon to be 19, by the way, Ms. Tumiso Madenge. She's an environmental and women rights advocate, and she's the founder of Girl to Girl, an organization that's promoting period positivity. A warm round of applause to her. So, ladies and gentlemen, from 12 all the way to 18, and I think a little bit beyond that, they're all CEOs. I feel outnumbered. I don't even feel worthy to be in their presence. I will be CEO one day, hopefully. Thank you so much. Also, you can see the panel is 50-50 representation, right? So we're good. Right. So I'd like to begin just getting to understand each of you and the work that you do and why you're so passionate about it. Let me start with you, Karen. You're a young environmentalist. Tell us about what you do and why you love it so much.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Wanjiro Kimani. I'm 12 years old. I am an environmental ambassador, voice of the children, climate change champion, founder and CEO of Karen Fort Environmental Conservation Foundation. I am a learner at Trofinville International School. I am an year 8 student. So basically, I like planting trees for our future generation, and I'm really passionate about it because it will help the future generation. It will help us have a great future. Yeah. And my mentor is Wangari Maathai. She really inspired me, and I wanted to be the next Wangari Maathai, and I decided to follow her footsteps. Yes.
Thank you. That's amazing, and congratulations on the work you do. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Alexander, tell us about what you do and why you think it is very important for the planet.
So my name is Alexander Nyangiti. I am an award-winning climate innovator. I am the pioneer behind Forest Nukes, which is a reforestation technique that combines the Miyawaki method, which is used in Japan, and Kenyan seed balls. So my whole project is all rooted in reforestation and community engagement, where we try to create a solution that is easily adaptable, and basically you get trees at a faster rate for cheaper. So other than that, I'm also a facilitator for the Earth Prize, where I educate peers of my age, 19 to 20, concerning climate action and climate education. And currently I'm also doing a book. It talks about my journey towards winning the prize. And the book is going to be launched on the 12th at Athi Gardens, and I hope to see you all there so that I can give you all a signed copy of the book.
Yay, congratulations on that. Also, as you're giving them a signed copy, they're going to buy the book, huh? So you're not giving them free copies, just so we're clear. Yeah. Good stuff and good work. So Brian, tell us about what you do at your organization, Africa Renewables Catalyst.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Brian Munene. I pride myself in identifying as a change maker. And the reality is, in Africa, we have around 600 million people without access to electricity. In this day and age where AI is accessible to us in a click of a button. So in that reality, I took it upon myself, backed by people who believed in me, to try and change this status quo of 600 million people lacking access to electricity. One of the ways we can address this gap is through mini-grids. These are small, independent power systems that can locate or provide electricity to to rural communities in remote areas. So ARC, the organization, helps these mini-grids access global energy markets, all towards the contribution of the big word, decarbonization. So the Googles of the earth, the Netflixes of the earth, can commit their ESG goals on Scope 2 emissions through these rural community mini-grids by purchasing renewable energy certificates. And at ARC, we have built that platform, bridging the accessibility gap, the knowledge gap, all together pushing investment through our platform. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. Timiso, you're fighting period poverty and you're a gender, a women's rights advocate. Tell us about that work and why that is the area that you've chosen to focus on.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So as you've heard, my name is Tumiso Madenge, or you can call me Tumi. I'm the founder of Girl to Girl, which is basically an initiative, as she said, that's focused on women's advocacy and rights and also fighting period poverty predominantly. So why I'm passionate about period poverty? So basically, I started my periods late. And I saw all of my friends having their periods, and I thought, this is such a cool club to be part of. Like, you're like really a woman. And I found out that people weren't actually confident in their periods, and it's not very spoken about because there's like a taboo around it. And I was really curious about it, like, why would it be a taboo? So I did some research, just learning more about periods and stuff like that. And then I found out about period poverty, which is basically the inability to afford menstrual hygiene products. And in Kenya, it's a really, really big issue, with 65% of women and girls being unable to afford or going through period poverty, and 7 out of 10 girls in East Africa missing up to a week of school each month due to period poverty. And you know, this obviously sets them back academically, with them having only losing 20% of their education, which obviously sets them back as compared to their male counterparts. So I just feel like like, okay, it just honestly pissed me off that we are being set back for something that we don't have any control over, and that it's a majority, it's 65%, and it's not just like a number. I know it's just a statistic right now, but like those are 65, that's a lot of people going through this every single month, and periods are already so hard as it is with the pads and stuff like that. So you can only imagine how it is to go through it every single month, having to figure out what am I going to do this month to be able to go to work or to go to school, and just be comfortable and not be made fun of or not feel uncomfortable and stuff like that. So I decided I have to take it upon myself to fight this issue. And that's what really pushed me, because it's girls like me, girls my age in school who are going through this issue. So I'll do donations, donating reusable pads or just normal disposable pads, and also having conversations with them. I'd call them girl circles, where we talk about the different things we've gone through, different stories, being more open, because it's also there's taboo around it, as I mentioned, and that's what normally stops people from knowing about this issue, this really big issue. So yeah, that's what I feel like it is for me.
Warm round of applause for Tumi. And also for having the courage to speak about an issue that isn't widely spoken about, but has great economic impact, social impact as well in society. So ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, it's a wide array of young people who have each picked an area that is important, but that also has impact. So let's start to get a little deeper. Karen, you work a lot with engaging your peers and also encouraging them. So talk to us about how you engage them in environmental action. And maybe there might be some lessons that many of the CEOs and leaders here can learn from how you engage others and, you know, sort of get them on board with your message and your action.
So I have different activities that I'm working on, like inter-school triggering programs. So I engage my peers through those activities. When I have an activity, I bring my friends and we plant trees together. Like for the inter-school triggering program, we go to different schools, we plant trees, we do mentorship program, and so that is how I engage my peers. And also, we also educate them about the Sustainable Development Goals. We educate them how to understand more about them. Yes.
And what do you think companies can do, even maybe to work with you and your friends? Today we're telling people to make a pledge, to plant trees. What is the one thing you might want to ask many of those who are here to help you in the work that you do?
So you guys should know that children are not just the future generation. We are the agents of tomorrow. That children are not just the future leaders. They are shaping that future. We are growing a 50-acre forest as children. Companies should learn that children can do much more than many people think. Give us the tools to shape our future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. Not just children, but agents of the future, and those who are already taking up the challenge to do it and not just waiting for others. Thank you very much, Karen, and congratulations for everything that you do. Brian, let's hear from you about, you're talking about access to electricity. So what's your vision for a fully clean, powered Kenya and maybe world?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question for me. Since I started this journey, I've always thought of it from a perspective of sort of building a Wakanda in Africa. And for Wakanda, we have vibranium. For me, I believe Africa has natural assets. We have tons of gigawatts in renewable energy potential. We have 60% of solar radiance falling all in Africa. And unfortunately, we only use or utilize less than 1% Africa. We have terawatts of wind and water hydro potential. So my vision for a clean powered Africa is capitalization and utilization of this power. It takes a lot of work, and I'm sure Sasini could tell us how much it costed just setting up our 1.3 megawatt. But at the same time, in a long-term perspective, how much more you will be saving financially, and at the same time, the metric tons that will be avoided in the same. So I'm happy that Kenya's grid is 92% green. We set the bar so high, but at the same time, there's more we could do as a country. I love Basigo and whatever they're doing, especially in greening our public service vehicle. And there's the reality that our rural setting, our agricultural sectors could have a lot of shift in regards to the small that you can do. For example, there are people who still study with paraffin and all that. Maybe we could switch them up into small mini-grid independent systems that could power them in their homes, and that, in that sense, we have switched them from fossil fuel to now having electricity in their homes through a renewable energy source. And the whole value chain, and I love the way Sasini has painted the picture of everything that they do, and the goals that you're also seeing towards even greening your transportation. I mean, the future is green, and we don't love the idea that Africa is being pushed on this, but for those who embrace it, we will be shaping that vision that we have. And I believe that we're already building towards that energy utopia, kind of a vibe of, yeah, Wakanda. Yeah.
And perhaps Wakanda is not really the utopia after all. It's definitely a reality that we can build. Thanks for that, Brian. To me, what does empowerment look like to you? At what point would you say, now we're looking towards a place where women and girls are on equal parity? Because I know you do fighting period poverty, but you're also a women's rights advocate in general. So for you, where do we need to go? What's the goal?
Okay, so first let's define empowerment according to the Oxford Dictionary. So empowerment is the process of becoming stronger and more confident, especially in controlling one's life and claiming one's rights. That's just from the Oxford Dictionary. I feel like for women and girls in Kenya and anywhere, especially from impoverished communities, it's the education. And I know everybody says this, but it's the education, and then how do you route the education to employment? Because we have education, yes, but sometimes I find like when I'd go to schools and stuff like that, or when I went to, I visited it's a home for underprivileged and young mothers, and they are talking about how some of them finished high school, but finding a job is hard because connecting what you learn in high school and actual like work can be a bit difficult. So how do you channel the education to the employment, and how do you give them those skills to be able to provide for themselves? Because there's the donation, and I feel like donation is so great, but like you give them a packet of unga today, give somebody a packet of unga today, it'll finish in a couple of weeks, a week or so. But if you give them skills, if you give them like information, knowledge, that's the real power, because that's gonna stay with them forever. And when I went to the home I was talking about earlier, they were saying they want jobs. We want to donate these dignity packs. They're just basically usable pads with underwear and a lot of different hygiene products. But they're saying they want jobs. They want to be able to provide for themselves, for their families, for their children. And I feel like that's where the empowerment really is. So giving them an opportunity to make their dreams a reality, and not just dream to survive, dream to be who they truly are and to be able to accomplish all they can. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That's a powerful statement, and it's giving them work and then giving them living wage, not minimum wage. Yeah. So not just enough to get by, but enough to have a decent life. Alexander, you're into innovation. What's maybe one innovation or tech solution you think could address or change how we address sustainability in the country?
Actually, before I get into that, I'd love to add on to something that I noted from what Martin spoke about and also what you mentioned. I heard you mentioning it's not all about planting trees, it's about nurturing them. And Martin, I believe, mentioned that Kenya's goal is 1.5 billion trees. It's actually 15.3 billion trees by 2032. However, I love the idea of 1.5 billion trees more because I feel like I'd rather champion for something. I'd rather champion for us to plant 1.5 billion trees and have a 100% success rate, survival rate for the trees, rather than planting 15.3 billion and have like a 50% success rate. For example, in Turkey, 2019, they hold the world record for having the most trees planted within an hour. That's 300,000 trees planted within an hour. They were targeting 11 million trees. And at the end of the whole tree planting campaign, within 3 months, 90% of the trees died. A whole 90% of 11 million trees died. That's a really large number, and that just goes to show that it's not about planting. It's about nurturing the trees, ensuring that they grow to maturity. Yeah. Then again, I also love to say that that's also something that I usually say. It's a controversial opinion that I hold, that our planning shouldn't be about planting trees. It should also be about taking care of what's already there, the trees that are already there, to prevent them from being cut down so that we don't even have to go towards planting the trees. We don't have to go for that extra step of finding a land, planting the trees. We just have to take care of what's there, then add on as our plan B. Yeah. So plan A shouldn't be just purely adding more trees and ignoring that there's a really huge rate of mass deforestation going on. And to answer your question?
Yeah, that's an important perspective. Can we give him a round of applause for that? Because you don't just degrade and then say you'll plant. It's also about maintaining what is already there. Okay, carry on.
Innovation. Personally, I'm a fan of simple ideas, simple innovation, simple tech solutions. I'll say that's also what Forest Nukes, my innovation, is rooted on. It's all about using concepts that are already there. At this day and age, I don't think we can invent something new. It's all about innovation, just using what's already there and improving it further. So that's how I came about with Forest Nukes, where I combined the Miyawaki, which is technically, when you plant trees closer together, there's more competition. And with competition, it's not a bad thing, by the way, but when there's competition, trees grow faster. As they compete for sunlight, compete to get their roots deeper, you'll be getting a more natural forest, other than having the spaced out traditional planting. And that way, when you get a natural forest, it's basically beautiful. And the downside of the Miyawaki is that it's expensive because you have to till the land and all that. But now that's how I came about seed balls, which is used in Kenya. It's used in Laikipia. You just toss the seed balls. Seed balls are basically take a seed, coat it in charcoal or soil, toss it out, and it grows. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about watering it. Just let nature do the work for you. So when you combine the two, you'll have one seed ball, more than one seed in one seed ball or one seed pack, and the seeds should be of different variety. All native species, however. You can have the undergrowth, bushes, you can have the trees, because the whole concept is you want to get the closest thing you can get to a natural forest, not just any other planted forest where you just see sticks growing out from the earth, because that's really, to my opinion, it's not that attractive. Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of simple ideas. You don't have to be all techie. You could call it frugal innovation, perhaps. Yeah.
Frugal innovation, I like that. Now, this is a moment. They're all here, all of them. They're CEOs of banks, of telcos, of shipping companies, agricultural companies. What question or challenge do you have for those who are here in the room? any question, any challenge, a parting shot that you want to have to our leaders here. Who do I begin with? Brian, can I start with you? Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe I'll go fast. I think I'll speak a little bit about my journey in building a startup, and then I'll pose my question. So I'm building within the renewable energy space, and the demographic in this space is, you know,
Just
yeah.
say it. Just say it.
I don't want to say quite old people, but yeah. So we have this innovation, and it's a new concept, which is true. Renewable energy certificates or credits, and the reality is, if with your 1.3 megawatt, so roughly for 1 megawatt, those who sell electricity through 1 megawatt, they would generate something close to $10,000 annually. If you work with us, there's a 45% increase in revenue. Without added installations or anything, this is renewable energy certificates. So I get into a room, you love the idea of carbon markets, and once you sit down, it's a 22-year-old, the eyes turn gray, and what's this young dude trying to tell us? Are you trying to swindle us, you young man? So I've gotten that so much, and I'm not complaining about it, by the way. It has brought us to be resilient in even how we approach business. But that paints a picture of what people say and what they actually do. So here on screen, here on the podium, we'll say, let's include the youth in the tables. But when you set up a meeting and it's a youth showing up to your table, you have to give them 12 months to prove themselves. Everyone here in this panel has actually proven themselves. And that's why we're sitting on the panel. But there's so many others coming forth. If we can reduce this time frame of telling the youth to prove themselves, maybe from 12 months to 6 months, we will really, really be saving a lot. We registered our business in 2024, but it took us 2 years. We started all this in 2022, going around in circles, trying to set meetings with the powerful companies, because it's only those that can actually give us real data to validate our hypothesis. And it's in the social small enterprises that we've managed to conclude our pilot. And it has been successful. It's quite interesting to me that we have traction from Europe, we have traction from Asia, ready to buy African renewable energy credits, but those who have the supply are not willing to give us a room to sit and show them that we can turn this into something tangible. So my plead to you today, or my question to you rather, is, are you actually including youth within your tables? Or is this something that you say to make yourself feel better at night when you sleep?
Yeah, we need about a few seconds for that to sink in. We really do. And that's such a powerful comment. And there's many people here, financiers who sit here, lenders, those ones, right? Yeah, we won't call them out, but they're here in the room and they know it. There's all of these sustainability-linked financing that is being done. How many of that, or how much of that, goes to youth-led enterprises? And as you can see, they're walking the talk. They know what they're talking about. It is their future, after all, right? That's powerful. Thank you for that, Brian. Tumi?
Wow, Guy, that's a hey. Okay.
You got this, don't worry.
Okay, I got this. So, for me, one thing I've just been thinking about was speaking to you guys as companies, but I want to speak to you guys as people individually and just talk about the concept that charity starts at home. I realize that many people want to do things through their companies, which is amazing, but you have to look at the people around you, the people who work for you in your house, the people who live on the streets near you. You don't, like, people need to really invest in them because, like, for example, the people who work in your house, the people who, like, they really, anyways. But then I feel like charity starts at home, and we need to really take that into account. And I feel like I would like to challenge everybody, especially because I look at period poverty. Pads are something that people won't come out and tell you, I'm suffering with this, I need this. It's something that you need to be the one to put your hand out and show them that you do care and you do acknowledge them. And also in terms of, because I'm also passionate about the environment, and I know that people have, they've set out to plant trees. I hope you've put your name on that thing. Lakini, I feel like planting trees yourself, because many people, like, you do it through your company. Planting trees with your own hands and really earthing, and it's a life that you're growing. Planting it and growing it, I'd like to challenge everybody to plant actually with their own hands, without any gloves, your hands, and experience how that is for you. But yeah, I'd like to really say, Brian, you ate with that. I'm here stuttering, I'm like, what did I really say? But yeah, donate pads to the people around you, the women around you, and don't overlook them, don't forget them. Yeah, that's what I'd like to say. Thank you so much.
Yes. So powerful, because I think it also ties into something Martin said during his presentation. It's how do you treat the people around you? Sometimes we put all of these things on paper, but we have people that work with us in our homes. How do we treat them? We have mothers, we have sisters, we have sons, we have uncles and fathers and mothers, but it really does start there. And I like the idea of planting a tree. So that QR code is there. Thank you, Tumi, for reminding us. I hope you are planting a tree. So you're not just asking Sasini to plant 10 trees, or NMG, or ABSA, or Safaricom, but you are planting one. Because, thank you for reminding us that it's also nurturing a life that we don't often think about. But the charity does begin at home. Thank you, Tumi. Alexander?
I had something to add on to what Tumi just said.
Yeah.
Taking it up as a personal initiative to plant your own tree. What I love to tell people is plant your age. For example, I'm 19. I've planted already 19 trees. More, though. I think right now I'm at 23. So I'd love to just pass it over to the audience. Plant your age and ensure you plant it to growth. You nurture it and monitor it. Just ensure that that tree that represents 1 year of your life grows, gets its roots into the ground, and basically 100% survival rate.
Right, yeah, it thrives. I won't ask any of you your age. You know that, you can keep that to yourself, but make sure you do that this year. Your final thoughts, Alexander, now that you have the mic.
Okay, so my final thoughts. Basically, I love to emphasize on what my panel has mentioned about involving the youth in your organizations, basically. And not only putting us on the table, but also putting us on the design room, on the setting of the budgets, basically involving us in every step of the way so that we can bring our ideas fresh to you. Since we are the most affected by the negative effects of climate change, we run out of creativity and also out of survival instinct, because we are trying to escape all these negative impacts that climate change has on us.
Yeah, and that's powerful. Involve them at every stage of it, even in the design. Please give Alexander a warm round of applause for that. Ms. Karen, you have the final word.
Thank you. My question is, at Karen Fort Environmental Conservation Foundation, where I am the CEO, we are growing a 50-acre forest with 400 children members in Kinali, Kiambu County. This is our corporate social responsibility as an organization. Our carbon footprints at Karen Fort are this small, Your carbon footprints are this big because your organization are huge and successful. You tell us that children are the messages that you send to a time you'll not see, and that you give us the tools in which to shape that future. My question is, are you ready to give us the tools? Are you ready to partner with us in this very important project as we reduce our carbon footprints? Sasini CEO, are you ready? Samia Africa, Nation Media Group, MP Shah Hospital, and other leaders and CEOs present, are you ready? Remember, climate action is now, not tomorrow. That is why I am asking for your response now. Please remember, our environment, our responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's make that commitment now, yes? All right. So how many are going to partner with Karen Fort? Just put your hands up, and I will make sure that she and her mother approach you before we leave here. If you don't put up your hand, I'm going to volunteer you. Honestly, I really will. I really will. Okay. So Ms. Karen's mom, have you seen them? And I will point them out to you. This is a great initiative. I see you at the back. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am. Good. And how many of you are going to make sure that you don't have them have proof of concept for 12 months, 1 year? And I hear that laughter. I hope the laughter is, yes, yes, we're going to do it, right? So this is something we're going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, my panel today, the future. Please give them a warm round of applause. All pioneers, all CEOs in their own right, and all agents of change who are doing that here today. I'd like to ask you to take your seats as we give them another warm round of applause for all the great work they're doing. Asanteni sana. And in case we don't say it enough, by the way, that table over there and the one behind them is their parents, their friends, their loved ones who've come here to support them. We know they wouldn't be who they are without the support that you give them. And so we thank all of you for that great work. The next person has a very hard time coming after this great panel. Ms. Judy Njino from Global Compact Network, Kenya, to come and talk to us about partnerships and the work that private sector is doing.
Yvonne, you're very right, a very tough act to follow. So these guys, you make us very proud. Everybody calls you the future, but you're actually the present. And you're the very generation that is defining what the world needs today. And you're doing it by action, not just by talk, which majority of us are known for. So I really just want to encourage all of us to consider partnering with a generation that is actually leading us to the future that we all want. So allow me to acknowledge the members of the board, Sasini's leadership, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all of you who've made your way here today. On behalf of the Global Compact Network Kenya, it's truly a great pleasure to join you today as we launch Sasini's sustainability report, which truly reflects a milestone on transparency and accountability, but also a demonstration of how Sasini also wants to partner with all the stakeholders present here today to help us deliver on the Sustainable Development Promise. Allow me to start first by congratulating Martin Ochieng. For those of you who might not know, Martin Ochieng has just finished a 6-year term of service as our board chair of the Global Compact Network here in Kenya, and he has served with distinction served leadership that represents and embodies what we are talking about here today. So Martin, on behalf of the Secretariat, on behalf of the board, really our deepest appreciation for your contribution to driving the Sustainable Development Agenda, and not just here in Kenya, but across the African continent, where you have extended yourself over and beyond to help us deliver on our mandate. I'd like to also congratulate Sasini, the entire team, the leadership, the board, for the bold steps that you have taken to embed sustainability into the heart of your business. And by doing so, Sasini is not only contributing to its long-term resilience, but you're also playing a meaningful role in advancing sustainable development in Kenya and beyond. Now, I wanted to just share some reflections on the importance of private sector leadership in advancing sustainable development in Kenya, and why private sector leadership matters. We all know that the private sector is the engine of economic growth. It is responsible for over 70% of global employment and investment. But today, that role has expanded, it's evolved. Stakeholder demands and stakeholder expectations have also evolved, and people are looking to the private sector, not just as engines of economic growth, but also as providers of capital, creators of employment, but also a sector that can help us drive achievements to the Sustainable Development Goals, which represents the 17 areas that we are currently struggling with as a global community. And we are living now at a time of converging crisis. We've talked about the climate crisis, the climate change that is currently bearing on us. We've talked about social inequality. You've heard from Tumiso, issues such as period poverty, a real issue that we are currently faced with here in Kenya, and that is not talked about. You've heard a lot about the economic uncertainty. You've seen the demonstrations last year into this year with the Gen Z, and I think it's Gen Zote, as they say, everybody is really struggling. And we've seen also a widening trust gap between institutions and people. Ladies and gentlemen, these challenges are complex, they're urgent, and they're interconnected, and they cannot be solved by one sector alone. Private sector, with all its capital, with all its innovation, cannot do it alone. Governments alone will not be able to solve the situation. Neither can the civil society acting in isolation. We all need to come together to partner in real ways, to partner across generations, as we've seen here today. And this is where we are also calling for the private sector to take leadership, and not just with capital, but with principles. And I think Sasini has really demonstrated what leadership with principles looked like. And most importantly, at a critical point in time, where we are seeing a lot of erosion and clawback to the Sustainable Development Agenda. Principles is what helps you make the hard decisions when everybody else is looking to turn back. And so businesses like Sasini are uniquely positioned to drive innovation, influence supply chains, create decent jobs, as well as unlock new markets, all while aligning with the Sustainable Development Goals. And so what we've witnessed today is Sasini's example of the evolution of sustainability to a strategic business imperative, one that defines competitiveness, resilience, and relevance in a rapidly changing world, and a world that is also demanding for business to do more. So whether it's in climate-smart agriculture, as we've had, ethical sourcing, their initiatives around responsible water use, the business case for sustainability is clear. Sustainability is good for business. You've heard it does reduce risk, it improves efficiency, it also helps you attract investors and helps build trust with consumers, because a lot of the challenges we are faced with today are the challenges that also resonate with your consumer base. And so the report that we've had and the highlights that have been shared here are not just a collection of metrics, it is a story of values in action, of leadership that recognizes long-term business success is inseparable from the well-being of people and the planet. And so the UN Global Compact, which you've heard about, has been available to support companies all over the world and here in Kenya to align business practice with responsible business values enshrined in our 10 principles, focusing on 4 key issue areas touching on business respect for human rights, labor rights, advancing environmental stewardship, as well as acting together against corruption. Here in Kenya, we are truly proud to see close to 300 companies, including Sasini, that have signed up to these global principles and that are working to walk this journey of embedding these principles in their strategies as well as their operations. And we've seen greater commitments as we rush towards their 2030 promise, which in a current report that has just been released 2 weeks ago, we are seeing again only marginal progress in terms of our delivery to this growth. We've seen only 35% of the goals being on track, and we are seeing nearly half either stalling or actually regressing, and 18% are actually not on track to be delivered. And so through initiatives like the UN Global Compact's Forward Faster initiative, which Sasini is a signatory alongside close to 1,000 of our companies here in the Global Compact, we are encouraging businesses to make ambitious, measurable commitments across 5 key areas that Martin touched on. And these are the 5 areas that we believe can actually have an impact to help us drive faster progress to deliver on the SDGs by 2030. These areas you had are on gender equality, climate action, living wage, water resilience, and SDG integration, as well as financing. And this is areas where we firmly believe as a Global Compact, business leadership can accelerate progress and deliver tangible impact. Ladies and gentlemen, as we look ahead, let me emphasize this. Leadership is not just about being the first. It's about setting the pace for others to follow. And Sasini's sustainability report does exactly that. Beyond advancing its own sustainability journey internally, I'm happy to say that Sasini has also shown true regional leadership by mentoring and supporting companies across the region. And Martin will, of course, confirm this. We've worked very closely together over the last 5 years to not only support Kenyan companies here, but also paying it forward. Of course, also recognizing that sustainability leadership is actually more manifest here in Kenya, in our market here in Kenya, as opposed to what we are seeing across the region. And so the leadership role that you've taken, the contributions, the time, the support to share your good practices here with our companies in Uganda and Rwanda is something that we also hold very dearly and is a testament to the leadership and the values that Sasini actually leads and lives out. And so through peer learning, the strategic guidance that Martin, you yourself has given, the generous sharing of lessons through your staff, from all your experience here in Kenya, Sasini has played a meaningful role in nurturing responsible business leadership across the business borders of our country. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this kind of solidarity and collaboration is exactly what we need to accelerate sustainable development, not just here in Kenya, but across the continent. And many of you who are present here today are also running regional businesses. And so stretch the levels of your ambition. Don't just look to what you can do and accomplish here in Kenya. Take the leadership role to nurture across the different markets where you're operating. It is a signal also to peers, to investors, to regulators, and the broader public that business can be a force for good. That in this decisive decade for the SDGs, Kenya's private sector is not on the sidelines, it is at the center of change. And so to all the leaders in the room and to the youth that we've had here today, the future belongs to companies that lead with purpose, that partner boldly, and you've heard, we don't need to over-interrogate, we don't need to over-scrutinize. And this is what is holding us back from delivering on the 2030 promise, is because we know what needs to be done, but more often than not, we want to always look for reasons why we cannot do what we should be doing. Let's partner boldly. Let's partner across generations, across sectors, and across borders. And let's act decisively, more critically, because the time to lead is now. So I congratulate Sasini once again for this important milestone, and I thank you all for your continued partnership in advancing the Sustainable Development Agenda in Kenya. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Judy Njino from the Global Compact Network, the Executive Director. She's the focal point for all sustainability initiatives in the private sector. If you're here and you haven't signed up yet, please do. They offer some great guidance and some great work along the way for every business, big and small, SME and even the larger ones. Thank you for your leadership, Judy, and for all the support that you continue to provide those in the private sector with that. And as Judy spoke about partnerships, it's not anything that can be done by one organization. Take a look at this, what Sasini has been able to do through partnerships to advance matters like living wage, water farmer training, and renewable energy. Watch.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Linda na nafanya kazi na Sasini MTH Department, Kibukebe Estate. Andika. Kijanangu nilianza akiwa form 1, sasa amefanya form 4, around 4-5 years. Na I thank God hawa pengine pia na wanaendelea kuwasukuma. Na kama sio hii kazi, I don't think kama ningemeke kusomesha watoto. Imenibadilishia maisha kwa sababu ile wakati nilikuwa nakaa na huyu mtoto peke yake na ilibidi nilikuwa naeka mattress chini, sisi tunalala kwa kitanda kwa sababu it was a very small room. Lakini saa hii watoto wangu wanakaa room yao, niko na jikoni ya kupika. Even if a visitor anakuja kunitembelea na welcome na mikono yake mbili. Kwa upande ya living wage, hii hatukuwa tumejua tunaelewa ni nini. Lakini tukakuja tukaelezea kwamba kuna kitu inaitwa living wage na inadili na mfanyikazi na maisha vile mfanyikazi anaishi na kiwango vile anaishi. Huyu mfanyikazi atafaidika akiwa kwa kampuni kiaje. Wakati ilifanya hivyo, tukapewa chakula, tukienda kwa kazi tunapewa lunch free, house tunapewa free. Na hata tukisafiri kwenda kama ni shamba ya mbali kufanya kazi tunapewa gari free, of which hawatudeduct kwa slip. Then kampuni ikafika mahali at the end of the year wakatupea pesa ambayo it was everybody was getting 15,000 under our department.
Chai tuko mzuri siku hizi na bei. Kampuni inatulipa vizuri. Hii ndio kampuni peke yake inatulipa bei ya juu. 40 shillings per kilo. Hiyo ni pesa mingi sana. Hakuna kampuni nyingine inalipa kama Sasini.
Malipo ilikuwa ya kwanza kama tupata kwa kampuni nyingine nakaa sana. Lakini kufika tariki 1, tariki 2 pesa pa unatoa pesa. Message inaingia kwa simu. Wacha kusema hiyo kwanza. Mbolea. Tunapatiwa mbolea hata kama hujalipa.
Hii mambo tunakuja ya digitali inasaidia sisi sana. Samani tulikuwa na shida ya nini ya kupima. Saa zingine hatukukuwa na risiti, lakini siku hizi iko risiti. Mambo ya kilo. Wakati kalani anakuja na pima hivi na reflect paka kwa factory huko. Kwa hivyo ile mambo ngine ilikuwa ya uisi na nini, hiyo kitu tulisahau kitambo. Siku hizi kila kitu kiko nywe.
So leo nataka kuwafunza kitu muhimu kwanza vile tutapata chai mzuri yenye tunataka. Kitu ya kwanza ni leaf quality. chai yenye tunataka, chai ya Sasini. Si mnajua chai ya Sasini ni gani tunataka? Matawi ngapi? Matawi 2 na roho. Hii sasa hii. 2 leaves and a bud.
Sasini wanakuja kwa shamba kufundisha sisi vile wanachuna chai, vile wanaweka mbolea. Sasini tena anafundisha sisi maneno ya rainforest. Wako na tena hiyo maneno ya rainforest, vile unachunga mazingira, unachunga mtoni na environment ya nyumbani.
Hii project ni ya biogas, ililetwa na kampuni ya Kebe. Hii kazi imenisaidia sana kwa sababu nilikuwa mimi nanunua miti alafu nipasue nitumie kama kuni. Hiyo kazi ya kununua miti, kufanya kulete kutoka mbali ilikuwa ghali sana. Kwa mwezi nilikuwa mimi natumia kama 5,000. Tangu nianze hii, hiyo gharama imetoa na saa hizi natumia kwa kazi zingine.
Tumeamua kwamba tutakuwa tunatenga kila mwaka borehole. Nilikuwa nimepangia borehole 6 mfululizo. On behalf of Sasini, this is the kind of work we want to be doing. So instead of doing in 6 years, can we do it in 3 years? So that means you sink 2 boreholes every year. Officially open this. Yeah, this is just to commission the water, and we hope that this is the first bucket of many that will go into the community. Congratulations.
Tangu wakati wa mababu zetu hatujawahi kuona tone la maji hapa, lakini kwa bahati nzuri jirani mwema anaitwa Sasini Tea Company akacha akatuonea huruma, akatuchimbia maji haya vile mnayaona akitiririka hapa.
Zamani tulikuwa tunaenda maji huko chini, nikitoka huko chini kama nimeenda saa zingine ama ni saa 4 ya mchana, nafika hapa saa zingine saa 8 ya mchana.
Kuja mama ukunywe maji, tunaona umechoka sana. Amaja yatokonyire twakorire kire gintu rero togogete na amaji abangina bamintu akimwana tena abantu bakoburia Sasini nereri Sasini tene nayo amana koche Sasini kuya mona sogotoma.
Sasini imefanya maisha yetu imekuwa soft kwa mbamba.
Maisha yetu sisi kama wakulima, maisha yetu ni nywe.
Sasini iende mbele zaidi.
Sasini jirani mwema, au sio? Au sio? I know you all understand Kiswahili, ama muelewe? But you know, all the statistics that are presented here, numbers, that is what it is. It's the impact. It's bringing dignity to people's lives. So we just thought that would be a really great way to end our time here together. We will show you numbers and all of that, but what does it really mean? It's for those women who have dignity. It's for the men who have dignity and who have more money in their pockets to invest in other initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, the work and the impact of sustainability as regards Sasini PLC. Before we wind up our time here together, I'd like us to say special thanks to some of our speakers here and want to give them a little something and to acknowledge them in a special way. To each of our great panelists this morning. I'll invite Martin Ocheng up here to just help us with just a special acknowledgement for them. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to give a warm round of applause for each of them as they come up. We'll start with you, Tumiso Madenge, for being here today, for spending some time to prepare your remarks, but most of all, for the work that you are doing in that space and in that regard. Let's have that here, Martin and Tumi, at the center so we can take a photo and remember this time here today. Congratulations, Tumi. Thank you so much for that. Next, let's have Brian Manene up here. Brian, thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for challenging us. Congratulations. And let's have Alexander Nyangiti here as well. Congratulations on everything and with your book as well. We look forward to witnessing the launch of that. Thank you very much. Last but certainly not least, Ms. Karen, welcome up here. If you can come closer to the center, Martin and Karen. Martin? Yeah, come here, closer to the center so we can take some good photos. All right, Karen, thank you. Congratulations. Thank you very much for that. What a day, what a panel. Thank you, Martin. You may take your seat. What a panel, what great young people. Thank you. And like I said, for your family and friends, we also take this moment to thank you for all the work that you're doing, for supporting them and giving them that environment to be able to do that. All right, we also want to thank very much Judy, who was here to speak to us, and for always giving your support and acknowledging all the work that is done here in the private sector. So it's time for the vote of thanks, and it is befitting for me to first start with the young generation before we hear the final word from Sasini. Alexander Nyangiti will come and give the vote of thanks on behalf of the voices of the present, not just the future generation. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much for having us here. So I prepared a bit of a speech. So thank you so much to the Sasini team for hosting this vital conversation and for giving youth a seat, not just at the table, but also at the mic. To my fellow panelists, your ideas reminded me that why this generation is bursting with solutions and not just questions. And to everyone here, thank you for listening with such open ears. I believe partnerships are the bridge between potential and real progress. So if anything sparked your curiosity, we'd love to connect after this. All my panelists are over here. If you're looking for any solutions, don't look any further because we are all here. Sawa. Let's keep building the Kenya that we deserve, green and future ready. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much for that. I'll be out of a job very soon. I don't even think you need me here anymore. Thank you, Alexander. And now, Ms. Rosemary Munyiri, Board Director at Sasini. Please give her a round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Board of Directors, Management, and staff of Sasini PLC, I am honored to extend our deepest appreciation to all present for making today's launch of the Sasini PLC Sustainability Report 2023 to 2024 both memorable and impactful. To our distinguished guests, His Excellency Mr. Neil Wigan, the British High Commissioner to Kenya, represented here by Ms. Frida Cherono, Her Excellency Ms. Natalia Zyatkin, spouse to the Ambassador Pavel Zyatkin, Ambassador of Belarus in Kenya. And we want to sincerely thank you for your presence and support. To our esteemed panelists, Tumiso, Karen, Brian, and Alexander, you have inspired us today with your words. I'd like to call up Martin to give some commitments to the challenges you've given us today. Martin, if you could just step up.
Okay, so we will ask some questions. Gosh. The CEOs here, stand up, please. Jeff, John, Tito, Tosif, Who else am I not seeing? Yes, thank you. If you're a CEO of your organization, please just help me out. Yeah, there you go. I knew there were more of us. Personally, I'm going to commit to see these guys, each and every one of you, with each and every one of your projects, to see where we can get involved, because they're all in areas where we work, as you've seen with our 9 SDGs. I'd like to commit these guys as well to do the same. And I know all of them, I don't see anybody who's not going to follow that commitment. So from Linda back there to Tosip up and everybody in between, let's support this. It really is, if we really want to show that we are making a difference, we didn't invite them here just to come and show us what they do, but also to help urge us and push us to see the agenda from their own perspective. I think they painted it well. So trust me, when you come to see me, I'll pull these guys onto the table. And it won't be just to say we are going to give you money to do whatever you want to do. We want to collaborate together, plan together, design those things together. Next year when we are reporting, hopefully report some of that work together. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Martin. Thank you to everyone else who stood up. To our esteemed speakers, Dr. James McPhee, Chairman of the Sasini Board, Mr. Martin Ochieng, Group Managing Director, thank you. Ms. Junin Gino, Executive Director of the Global Compact Network, Mr. Brian Munene, Sustainability Entrepreneur. I think I've missed a few people. We have Jeff Odundo, MD Nation. We have Tosif Din, MP Shah Hospital CEO, and Tito from Musk CEO. We want to thank you for your presence here today. Your contributions have enriched today's dialogue, highlighting critical insights across environment and gender equality. We also recognize and thank the heads of departments and support teams whose dedication behind the scenes made this event possible. I would like to thank the JW Marriott Hotel Management for graciously hosting us, and Ms. Yvonne Okwara for your poised moderation and seamless guidance throughout the program. To every guest, participant, and contributor, your presence today affirms the shared values that continue to guide our sustainability journey. From all of us at Sasini, thank you for your time, your commitment, your continued partnership, and let us carry this momentum forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Ms. Muniri, and thank you for the commitment. We're really looking forward to the next one, and hopefully also when we attend the sustainability report launches for each of you, we'll hopefully see that reporting as well. Thank you for making the commitment. We really appreciate that. One final look at the commitment we're making here to our digital forest. Before we close, you still have time to scan that QR code. Look at that. All right, 62 pledges. I know we can still do better, but this is great. So there is Sasini's commitment, 11,733s for those that have made that commitment. And make sure, by the way, those 63 pledges, make sure you're each planting, growing, and nurturing your trees as well. I hope this is a commitment that you take very seriously. I think if it's anything we've been challenged by the young people here today is to really make good on the things that we say, not just, saying them for the sake of doing that. So this is great. I see we've gotten 65. That's good, which means we can do much more, and that continues to grow. 66, thank you very much. Can we get this to 70 before we close? Let's do that. Good, thank you. Another one? Let's do 75. Come on. Come on. Let's do 75 real quick. Come on. Come on. Let's do this. Please, let's not leave here without 75. Get your phones out, people. Get your phones out, please. Please make that pledge one more time. Good. 75, and then I'll let you go. 75. 3 more. Let's do this. Let's do this. It's a commitment that each of you is making. Come on now, guys. Come on. Let's do this. Do this with me. 72. Who in the back? Who hasn't made a pledge? Ah, very nice. I love it. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. A true commitment that's been made here today as we stand with Sasini. Good. See? I like you. Good people, men and women of your word. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations once again to Sasini PLC for launching your sustainability report. Continue to make those commitments and reporting each year as a measure of transparency and accountability. Congratulations to you, Martin, and the entire team at the firm. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for your pledges. We'll hold you to that. Breakfast is still served outside, but our time here together is done. Asanteni sana, and have a good day, everybody.
So let's put our hands together for Yvonne.